Good evening, all. I'd like to take this time to officially resign my post as host of the ME7 podcast. It's been a great run. Not really. Sorry for the technical issues there. I'll blame the bad work when blaming their tools, unfortunately, but there you go. We're here to talk about Gills, obviously, not about me, and talk about the cup exit to Luton Town yesterday, where a 3-0 win comfortably oversaw us at Priestfield yesterday. The resultant performance has caused a number of negative reactions amongst supporters who fear a repeat of last few seasons of underachieving. We're going to look today at the game as a whole and whether it has much of a bearing on the season as a whole itself. I am joined tonight by the returning James Hawkins, who has saved the day tonight, and also Alex Pooley, who just turns up, I guess, sometimes. Anyway.
Thanks.
Evening to you both, and welcome back to you, Mr. Hawkins.
Good, Tom.
Alex, I'll start with you. Let's hope the second time lasts longer for all the comments in the comment section. Alex, start with you. We normally start with team news and selection and co. We'll get onto that next, and I'll bring James in. But first, I want to pick up on yesterday as a whole. We talked before about the Carabao Cup game being a glorified sort of pre-season friendly, not much riding on it, and it being 3 o'clock on a Saturday almost gave it that feel, didn't it, of a pre-season game. It felt that way, didn't it, during the day? It felt very low-key, very sort of flat. Was that what you took from it as well?
Yeah, I think the players looked flat, the crowd looked flat. It was almost, as you say, like a glorified pre-season game. I don't think it should have been, but that's kind of how it ended up.
Yeah, I get that. And unfortunately, as I said, the game sort of kind of fell into that as well. James, in terms of team news, then we'll go onto that, because it was, when the team came out, we sort of knew that we'd be a little bit down to bare bones with a lot of the injuries that we've got, in the squad. 5 new signings in from the start, including Owen Mason, who made his debut at kind of the last minute from Mansfield. Freeman, Harris, Alvarez, and Brophy all started as well. Their first competitive game for the club. Some new faces on the bench, but mostly littered with sort of youth prospects. Let's ask you first of all about Owen Mason, because you haven't actually, we've not asked you about the goalkeeper situation yet. We had a few comments from it on last week's show. What do you make of the situation as a whole, as far as the goalkeepers are concerned? The fact that we've had to employ a lone goalkeeper from the first game of the season. How do you think he did yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, it's not ideal, is it? It's one of those ones where straight away you're going into the first competitive game of the season, and he's probably had like 2 days training with us, 2 or 3 days training, and it almost puts the back 4 or back 3 straight on the back foot, and that's the issue with it. I think it's somewhat of a little kick in the teeth to take Holton, because it's straight away it's, well, we don't trust you, and we're not going to throw you in.
Yeah.
And it's, apparently I'm hearing rumours that Lennon is out for up to 6 months, apparently, which is...
Was that a direct result of the injury against Millwall?
Yeah, I'm hearing rumours that he's out for 6 months, which is obviously not great. Then Ainsworth said in his interview after that it could well happen that Mason's loan is now extended to the Walsall game, and Owen could end up playing in the Walsall game. Why not just be honest with us and just say how long Ollie Wright's out for? I don't get this secrecy around the injury thing. Just tell us. Just say to us that he might be out for a couple of months or whatever. Why leave it until sort of midday before we find out that we've got an emergency? I don't get the hiding around the injury problem at the moment, which that baffles me, I suppose. And I thought he was actually quite good first half. He cost us 2 of the goals in the second half. Through the goalkeeping. But could that be rustiness? Could that be he's just nowhere near it and not ready?
Well, it's not as if, looking at Owen Mason, obviously he's third choice at Mansfield. He's not as if he is a experienced professional at this level. It's his first EFL game. He's played for Mansfield in Cup competition. He went on loan to Southend last year for half a season. But actually, it's not as if we brought somebody in. Gareth mentioned on Tuesday at the forum about bringing in like Ryan Alsop and Stockdale at Wickham when he needed a lone goalkeeper, and they obviously already were experienced pros. So for Tate, it's not as if we brought somebody in that's got a lot more game under his belt than Holcomb has. So it must feel a bit strange for him, for Gareth to be so open with the fans and say, listen, these two, i.e. Tate and Lennon, aren't ready yet. But I guess that the thing with Ollie Wright, he's been brought in as the number one, the undisputable number one.
Yeah.
If he's going to be out, we need to know, because we need to have an awareness of that, of okay, we're going to have maybe one or two lone goalkeepers throughout the course of the season, if that is the case. Strange one, and as you said, with performance, he started out okay.
My argument to that as well is that what if Ollie Wright drops out of form? Then what?
Yeah,
like we saw it this year, we saw it last year, where Glenn Morris, he just wasn't the same Glenn Morris, was he? We turned to Jake Turner, and he was about as good as Glenn Morris in a way, in terms of no good. So that's the issue that I get the number one thing, but I also don't get it because there is no competition for places, and Ainsworth has now got this issue, and it just doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't fill me with confidence around the goalkeeping department currently.
No, true. And Alex, in front of him, we obviously found out when the team was announced that Liam Gordon, who many believe will be the captain of the club or the side this season, wasn't playing because of a suspension overhang from his time in Scotland. Whether or not I was aware of that, I don't think that was made common. But Logan Dobbs was the beneficiary of that coming into the back three. In terms of that, I think we've all got higher hopes for Logan in the sense of he could be a genuine Sam Gale replacement, or maybe a player in the Sam Gale mould that comes through the academy. How do you think he did? And does a defence that includes Omar Beckles playing 40 times a season in a back three, does that fill you with confidence, or is that a bit harsh? I already know your answer. So
any defence of Omar Beckles in at any point in the season doesn't fill me with confidence at all. Logan Dobbs himself, I think he was the best player on the pitch for us for most of the game. Fantastic, assured, dealt with his men well. I know we said it was a pre-season game, but he was the only one that really looked like he was at it for most of the game. I think defensively, we looked a bit all over the place. Beckles was a bit lost, as he normally is when he plays. Smith lost his man on the first goal, and Dobbs was probably the best of the three, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and we kind of, it does appear to be that we're setting up in a certain way this season, and that won't change. And with that, we need, Gareth's already mentioned that he's in the market for a centre half. I asked Dave and Co on Thursday about what kind of play we needed to fill Sam Gale's position, and the answer was generally a young player with maybe a bit of pace about him. We've already got Gordon and Beckles to provide the experience. James, in terms of the game itself and how it panned out, evident yesterday that Luton were going to have more of the ball. They're obviously, A, they're a League One side, but B, they've also got an ex-Arsenal player as coach, and obviously he would drill into them the fact that they would play that sort of way. Be that as it may, the fact that we were going to have less of the ball, should we have still been more competitive? Were the goals too simple? Yes, the players may have been flagging after a while, and realistically, we have still got a lot of players that are not available through injury and so on and so forth. But do you feel that maybe, despite the fact that we were chasing the ball for a lot of the game, we weren't competitive enough in key areas?
I think that point that you've just made there, saying about that we were not near full strength, is what people have to realise. And this leads me on to the point of people completely shit in the bed on social media about our season, which is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. It's a glorified friend. When on earth is Gareth Ainsworth going to make 5 substitutions on 60 minutes in a league game? It's just not going to happen. I think people just need to relax. And what also doesn't help is the crowd just completely negative yesterday. How does the players, and we've got a young team this year, how does that make them feel when the fan base on game one at the start of the season have just lost all hope? It's just absolutely ludicrous. I think people just need to relax. Ainsworth has already said, Ainsworth has noticed it, is that he wasn't happy with bits and pieces yesterday. I think Alex, completely agree with you. Beckles is well off it. He's nowhere near it. He doesn't even look fit. And that was the biggest problem for me yesterday. He doesn't look sharp. Gordon, we obviously missed yesterday. We're looking for a centre half to replace Gale, which hopefully that brings another good quality. I think Freeman is a massive upgrade on Hutton, which is obviously a positive. I thought McManaman was really good when he come on, looked energetic, looked lively. I thought Alvarez in the middle was, for a young midfielder, I thought he was excellent. You're not going to get a midfield three of Luton's quality in League Two this year, are you? Like, I think that, and I thought Alvarez in the middle really held his own. I thought Palmer Holden was poor. I thought he could have held up the ball better.
I will thing you on that one, James, and just say I don't think we gave Seb any favours at all yesterday. I think
we didn't.
Constantly punting up to him. He's being utilised as a target man now, which is not
which obviously is not his game, is it? I think people need to give. Ainsworth has already said that he will use this window as much as he needs to, and I think if come August, 3 or 4 games in, we're still nowhere near it, I think Ainsworth will happily dip back into the market and go and buy some more. Like, I think people just, if by October, November we're still nowhere near it, have an opinion. But come on, like, it's just, like I get people's opinions about it, that they're sick of the past few years, but we've got a whole new squad in there now. I think it's just time that you just let Ainsworth do his thing, and if we're nowhere near it, then have your opinion.
Alex, on to the game then, because there wasn't much to talk about from a Gills perspective, but obviously Luton did score the goals. Again, we were almost there at half time. It would have been nice to go in half time level, despite the fact that we didn't really have any of the any attacking momentum at all. But obviously Luton did get the chance to score, and they did. Mason made a couple of sort of generic saves throughout the game, but then Lucky Wells scored after 43 minutes. And you mentioned about switching off. You don't switch off, do you, when you've got a striker of that quality that does that, in this level and above. I was looking for an offside flag, obviously. Looking back at it, you then find out it's just a switch off at the back. And at that point, it seemed very easy to sort of put that one away.
Yeah, I think Naki Wells 9 times out of 10 scores that. He's a fantastic striker. I think going on to the point, and I'm not going to use Beckles as a scapegoat here, but if you've got Gordon in the middle there, does Smith switch off? We've seen it all pre-season. He's loud. He's shouting at the people around him. He's almost dragging them through the game. And Smith, there's no communication across the back line. It's a simple ball through. It's almost like a training exercise. That's attack versus defence stuff. It's almost like they've set it up to be like, this is the ball we want you to play at the weekend. And we've let him cut through. Mason has no chance. He's done well up till then, but it's poor from us and poor defending. That kind of, I think, comes down to Smith switching off, but also us not having a real leader in the back line for most of the first half.
Yeah, and that was, I guess, a bit of the theme, wasn't it, with those goals that we let in the second half too. It was Luton better in and around the box, fast, quicker to the ball, which, again, without, that Gale type, I know that we've mentioned him already a lot, but he's already gone, that Gale type defender that maybe has got the extra yard of pace in that back three, because let's face it, if we've got Beckles and Gordon in there right now, the third player has to have pace. They have to get to the ball first of all. They have to be stronger in that respect. James, second half, a lot the same. Obviously, the second goal came before anything happened, really, as far as the Gills were concerned. And again, it was a young player for Luton making his debut that looked quite good. I can't pronounce his name. But when that goal went in, it was sort of done, really, wasn't it? As far as the game was concerned, it was already quite a somber sort of affair. But we did try and threaten through Harris a couple of times on the left, and the subs made an impact. But was the game done with as far as you're concerned by 2-0?
Yeah, as soon as it went 2-0, you could see our attitude towards it as well. And I think also the Luton substitutions, they only seem to get stronger once they brought.
Well, they had Palmer, didn't they, on the bench? Who's been a championship player most of his career, so.
Yeah, that's what I mean, is that, like, people are saying, like, one of the comments I read was saying, "Oh, how comes we're not competing with these sides?" I mean, these lot are going to be in the playoffs this year, like in League One. Like, we're still nowhere near it. To me, a successful season for Gills this year would be a top 10 finish. I would take that. I would take a top 10 finish all day long after everything that we've been through for the past few years. A top 10 finish for me. So in terms of squads, I think someone said to me yesterday, this squad's worth like 30 mil, which is like, that's just ridiculous. So, and I think, to be honest, our subs, Sully Booth, when he come on, thought he was lively, energetic. I thought he's not doing himself any harm. I thought Brophy tried to get on the ball a little bit more, and he needs to, certainly if Dak's going to be sort of here and there this year, like we're going to be looking at Brophy for the creativeness. I think that's one thing we're still lacking. I think for me, we're still lacking that cutting. We don't have anyone that, for Luton's first goal, we don't have anyone that plays on the half turn and can play our forwards in, and we're still missing that for me. But yeah, the second goal, the game was done. I think you could tell, couldn't you? I think our lot were just done. It was hot yesterday, and I think the heat had got to them, and Luton brought on athletes, didn't they? When for their substitutions, they had a whole squad of just runners, and we couldn't cope, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely. Alex, we mentioned the changes already. Obviously, 5 in 1 go does constitute a bit of a pre-season feel about it, but they're all obviously required. And I want to pick out a couple of people. Obviously, we brought on Conor McManus, who will hopefully give us a little bit more down the left-hand side. You know, I thought he would have started, to be fair, but we wanted to go with Harris and see how that went. But what do you make of his little cameo? Seemed to be quite rough and ready and sort of up for a bit of a battle. It's whether we see him going forward enough is going to be the key for us. But how do you feel that he got on yesterday?
Yeah, I think he didn't do himself a disservice. He come into a game where the game's already done. Did what he had to do and put himself about and looked a player that could be quite nifty come the rest of the season. But again, it's one of them where the game was. He just sort of come into a game where I don't want to say he could coast through it, but nothing's really expected of him. He did well, but I'll judge him 3 or 4 games down the line. I can't judge him just off that.
I wanted to just ask you, Alex, on the wing back situation, because my perspective, obviously Hutton and Clark are both gone, and they were our main wing backs last year. In terms of, we're looking at maybe having Tavares and McManus as our starting wing backs, and they both give us a little bit more youth, a little bit more sort of pace going forward, hopefully. But right now we're playing with Freeman and Harris, and for me, Freeman, I think is a good addition, but whether he's the wing back solution that we need remains to be seen. I think he may be lacking in pace, and obviously against the tricky left winger, he'll be out. You know, one-on-one situations could be tricky. So hopefully we'll see those wing back additions come in soon. In the meantime, Freeman and Harris, how do you find that they got on at wing back yesterday, or was it hard to really judge it?
I was quite critical of Freeman, obviously during the game in the chat that we have. He's an upgrade on Hutton, but I think it was a square peg in a round hole. For me, he's not going to be our starting right wing back.
Alex.
Me and Dave, you know how much we love each other.
Yeah.
But it's just one of them. I think they both didn't do awful. They didn't do great. Didn't set the world alight. I thought Harris had some good moments defensively where he kind of did well in the first half. And then Freeman just did a job more than anything. They're not going to be our starting fullbacks. I probably wouldn't start Freeman there if it was my decision, but I'm not paid to manage Jingle Football Club. For some reason, Gareth Ainsworth is. I had to get that one in there. I think all over the board, no one can really be pleased with their performance overall, but they had good moments.
Yeah, and James, it was over for definite on 80 minutes when Luton scored their third. We looked tired. We looked sort of out of ideas. Obviously, we brought off, pardon me, the 2 strikers and brought on Goodwin, and we sort of went down to almost 1 striker, and it was sort of just left him up there by himself without any real support. Maybe from Booth was probably the exception. What was Gareth learned from this one before? Obviously, this is sort of a precursor, isn't it, for Walsall next week? What would he have taken away from this, if anything, about his squad, or is it just too early to pass it in judgments yet?
I thought we were too easy to cut open, like Ainsworth said. We were. There were times where they'd literally just play 1 or 2 passes and they were straight into our final third. And yeah, okay, like people can judge it with League Two sides. Are League Two sides going to do that to you. The top end ones will, like Salford will. Salford will do that to you. So I just think we need to just be mindful of the fact that if we're playing this back three this year, someone in midfield has got to sit to stop that happening. And who were we playing in midfield yesterday? What was it? Alvarez, McKenzie, and Brophy?
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing, because I think for most people, we've seen that we're almost playing a 4 across the midfield with Freeman and Harris acting wide. If you do that, I mean, Brophy was sort of in a to me, he was in a sort of a floating role on the right hand
and
side.
This is obviously a discussion where it come on about Robbie McKenzie, and I love Robbie,
okay.
and I think
Strap
to be
in.
honest, yeah, I love Robbie, and I think the problem is that he's almost done himself a disservice over the years at the football club, because now Robbie doesn't have a position where he's filled into so many different places for us as a team. He doesn't have a strongest position. I think personally, Robbie's best position is actually centre half. I think he's an excellent centre half. And we saw it at the start of last season when we was in that good run of form. Him and obviously Gale at the time, but they were playing in a back three where it was Gale, Smith, and McKenzie, and it was McKenzie in the middle of the three. And I thought he was outstanding for months. McKenzie can't play in a midfield two. He hasn't got the legs to do it. He just can't. He can play in a midfield three with legs around him. So if you had Alvarez and Little either side of McKenzie, you can play him there. He has not got the legs in midfield, and it showed that yesterday. You can't play him in a midfield two. He just doesn't. He can't get around the pitch quick enough. That's not his fault. He just isn't that type of player. I think if you're going to play Robin McKenzie in this football team, it has to be at centre half or in a midfield three, but in a midfield three that is a 3-5-2 or a 4-3-3. And so I think that's the only way that you can do it. And it killed it. It killed us yesterday. I think the 3-4-3, you have to be careful who you play in there, because the two that play in there have to both be players that can get around the pitch.
The problem you might have then, James, there, if and I'm not, because Robbie isn't the problem as far as I'm concerned. It's collectively, and Alex, don't dag on me for this one. If you play Robbie in a 3, for example, at the back with say Beckles and Gordon, or Gordon and Smith, for example, you've got 3 similar players.
Yeah.
In a midfield 3 with Alvarez and Little or Coleman, you've got 3 very similar players. Are we getting caught in the trap of a midfield that has no creativity in it, or a defence that has no pace in it, realistically, just to accommodate players, like Coleman, like Little, like McKenzie to an extent? Do we get caught in the fact that we've got maybe 6 players there that aren't any different from each other, and then you're lacking, support for the front 2, width and genuine pace?
And that's the thing, isn't it? Is that's where Ainsworth has got to be smarter in the way that he uses his squad. He simply cannot this season say, right, I'm playing 3-4-3 and you lot are going to go into it. It doesn't work like that. It's certainly at League 2 football, you have to adapt. I think we've got to be careful that we're going to look at this 3-4-3 and then we're going to try and start. Could you imagine a midfield 2? If we go to injuries and he's played this 3-4-3 all season, and then their midfield 2 ends up Coleman McKenzie, that's never going to work, is it?
I might actually have to resign at that point.
Yeah. I just think I think we just need to be careful that we use formations that suit these players rather than the other way round. And you're right, Tom. I think if we end up a back 3 of Smith, Beckles, and McKenzie, that's an issue. And I think, the midfield as well. We need to sign a creative midfielder. I think it was said at the forum, wasn't it, on Tuesday night, that they're only going for a centre half.
Yeah.
I think we also need to still look at some sort of creativity in there, because we've got Dak and who else at the moment?
Well, you'd like to think maybe Brophy could do it, Antwi could do it if he's back, McCleary could do it, but again, where would you put those players if you're already packing the midfield out with workman-like players, someone's going to have to give.
I think, to be honest, with our recruitment, we need to look at it and go, right, we need a creative midfielder that is going to set our forwards up. I can't remember the last time one of our forwards was put in a 1v1 situation.
Yeah.
And then we need to look at getting rid of a midfielder.
The last player that I can recall making an assist for a 1v1 was Max Clark. May he rest in peace. Yeah. Alex, if you look at the squad of players yesterday, obviously you can have 9 for a cup game, and we littered the bench with a lot of youth players, as we have done for a lot of pre-season. But if you look at the players missing, Wright, Gordon, Tabarez, McCleary, Little, Coleman, Antwi, Dack, all out. Little, maybe you were side to that one, but is there a case that we've still got a lot of places to bring players back into, and therefore we shouldn't panic right now? Can you properly assess things with those players out of the squad?
Yeah and no. I think we are looking at I personally don't think it was a 3-4-3 yesterday. I think Brophy was in the Dack role, and then Hale and Palmer Holden were meant to be more of the 2 strikers, with Hale coming in off the left, if you will, right? But I think James hit nail on the head. Mackenzie, as much as I love him, and some people, what they've said, by the way, about him is crazy. I won't name them, but that's crazy opinions. He is one of our best footballers at the club for what he can bring to the side. Absolutely. I'd play him in a back 3, and it would be Gordon, Mackenzie, then Dobbs or Smith as my back 3. Then I'd look at getting another midfielder, a creative midfielder. We don't need another centre half. We've got centre halves that are good enough. We don't have enough midfielders. You've just named Dack, Antwi, and Little as the 3 that can come back in the midfield. Antwi we've rarely seen because he's been injured. Dack won't give you 90 minutes week in, week out. And Little, as good as he is at running about, he can't create anything. So what really do they bring back to the side that we didn't have yesterday? Brophy, I don't think he's a creative midfielder. He's more of a winger. He's played out on the left for Cambridge for majority of the time he was there. So while we again putting square pegs in round holes, if Brophy's more of a left winger, let's play him left wing back. Why are we playing him in centre attacking midfield? Why are we signing a left wing back to play centre attacking midfield? Like what are we doing there? Like we need to look at our squad.
Sickeningly reasonable from you, isn't it? That is sickeningly reasonable from you, as far as I'm concerned.
It's also the fact that I went down to Cambridge away last year. Brophy played left wing that day, and fucking tore us apart. So what?
He was up against Hutton. So I mean,
that's like playing a Medway Sunday League right back.
Yeah.
In all fairness, to be fair, but it's Alex, you're right, mate. Like that's it's only going to get Ainsworth the sack though if that's what he's going to do, isn't it? Like that's
I think he maybe needs to bend a little bit here and think the players I've got in my squad. If he's going into a season with these players, we've got arguably two very good wingers that we can play, right? McCleary and Brophy. McCleary will get his fair share of goals. He's been about, yes, he's still got legs even though he's 39, and Brophy's a fantastic winger. So while we then playing our meant to be star striker out on the left, like he's got to look at his squad and maybe bend a little bit in how he's going to play. If it's 3-4-3, 3-5-2, whatever it is, we need to find a way that works with these players, not the way Ainsworth wants to work, because he's not gone out and signed the players for the way that he wants to work.
Yeah, I've always been an advocate of, right, if you're a manager and you believe in a system, you trust in a system, you play that system, and you bring in players to fill those gaps.
Absolutely.
There will be occasions where you need to be adaptable and flexible based on the game and the injuries and that sort of stuff. But
he's also still got to understand, Tom, that he's still got probably 10 players here from when he wasn't here.
Yeah.
So it's not fully his squad.
No.
So it is the majority of his squad. Yes. Before people jump on me and go, "Oh, you're protecting Ainsworth," I'm not. What I'm trying to say is that some of the players that he's picking are currently not his players.
Yeah.
But has he gone out and signed the players to allow us to play the way that he wants to play?
Well, that's the thing, in it. So I mean, he's just got to be mindful of the fact that this 3-4-3, I'm going to judge it 10 games in. Like, I always give anyone 10 games, and then after 10 games, if it hasn't worked, then I'll have my opinion on it. So he's got 10 games grace before.
Who are we playing after on the 11th game? We can put a pin in that one and come back to it. A 10-game review.
Yeah.
And see what James said after that one, depending on where we are and what we're doing. Guys, too many times last season, especially after Christmas, I avoided asking about player of the match because there simply wasn't one. And unfortunately, we have to bite the bullet a bit more this year and try and find the positives in it. So you both mentioned a couple of players you thought stood out to a degree. James, who do you think was your player of the match yesterday?
I'm going to go Zane Alvarez. I thought he was excellent.
And Alex?
Logan Dobbs, really impressed.
That's it. 4 words, me both. Brilliant. I would like to think that we'll have a lot more chances to actually select the man of the match based on merit this season and not by just who was left over or who was the best of a bad bunch. We start at Walsall, home to Walsall next week, desperately hoping that this was just a League Cup game, nothing else. It was not an indication of how the season's going to go, as some people are already labelling it to be, the end of time. James, Alex, thank you for coming on tonight. Appreciate your patience and everyone else's patience with the technical issues. Hopefully fix that by Thursday. If not, we'll have to be back on a phone doing it this way. James as host. Gills bow out of the Carabao Cup, and the first time of asking in the 3rd consecutive season. But recently we knew that the League Two campaign is obviously the biggest priority for us. Gareth Ainsworth is building a new look squad. It might take us some time to get to where we want to be, so we need to have a little bit of patience. But we're not obviously very good at that, are we, as a fan base, including ourselves in this virtual room. Walsall on Thursday, join us for a preview show. We'll hopefully be able to sit here next week looking at how we have fared and do a pre-match review, a Sunday review of the game with 3 points. Until then, thanks for watching and come on, you Gills.